Hello stampers and welcome to Laura's Stamp Pad. Today I'm just going to do a beginner tutorial on some basics of stamping. As you know, I've been stamping for 10 years and so I've kind of got it down to an art on, the right pressure and the right angle and what works, and while I still do make mistakes, I thought I would do a little tutorial just to show all of those who are just getting started with stamping. So I'm actually going to be using the Work of Art stamp set, which is this one here. I love this stamp set because there are so many wonderful things that you can do with it. And I'm going to be using this image here just to show you a couple basics on stamping. This is a wood block stamp set, so it does actually already have the image mounted to a wood block. As you can tell, it is a super loved image because it's not really wood anymore. It is inked up rather dark. One of the other stamp sets I'm going to be using is the Sheltering Trees stamp set. And I'm going to be using this one because it is a photopolymer stamp set, so it is completely clear, and we will be using it with, of course, the clear blocks. So I just wanted to show you that here I have my Melon Mambo and Island Indigo. Those were just, of course, Melon Mambo is my favorite, and then I thought I would choose a blue too, and I went for Island Indigo. So when it comes to stamping, you will just take your image and do a light tap, tap, tap onto the ink pad. Just a little tap, 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 and you can kind of move it around on the ink pad just in case there's a little bit of ink in one spot that's not in another spot. But just tap, 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 and then a straight up, straight down, even pressure image. And there you have your nice, perfect image. So if you squish it into the ink pad, you're not actually giving it a full coverage. You're just smashing it into its already spot. And you also can make a mess, which is why this one's kind of dark, but it's okay. But I'll also show you how it can be really messy with the clear block ones. So if I just smash this in and rock and move thinking I'm getting a ton of ink on there, look at that. And then this usually leads to inky fingers because then if you touch it, and it also, whenever you stamp down, if you rock, then you end up with this image here. I don't know how well you can see that. Can you see how there's like a nice little square around our bicycle there? And so that's what happens whenever you press too hard. Plus then, like I said, you kind of have an inky mess, and then it usually tends to get on your fingers. So just a light tap, tap, tap onto the ink pad, and no rocking. I don't know that there's any reason why you would ever really need to rock on a stamp, so you don't have to worry about that. So just a light little tap, 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 and you can see this time that bicycle is nice and clean. And we got that nice image there. So that's one of the things with the nice just tap, tap, tap onto the ink pad and then stamping it straight down and no rocking and just even pressure. I will say some of the larger images, I tend to kind of do like the outside like this, or like my fingers on top. For the larger images, you will want to press a little in the middle just to make sure that it has an even pressure all the way around the image and not just pressed on the outside, because then sometimes it can leave like a little center that's a hole of ink. You won't actually, the ink won't actually touch the stamp unless you add that little bit of extra pressure, because doing this, I'm just really pressing on the outside. But since it's small enough, this one still works. Some of the larger images, that's where you want to make sure that you give even pressure in the middle as well. So there's a little tip on that. Another little tip that I wanted to show you is how you can stamp images and get various colors with those. So I'm just going to flip this over so that we're not distracted by those images. This is just a piece of copy paper, so that's why it's so thin. Regular white, Whisper White cardstock is much thicker than this. But here I have Melon Mambo, my favorite pink, and say that's the only ink pad that I have, but I want light pink. Well, you could always stamp off onto a scrap piece of paper, and then you could stamp your little light pink. See how it's a lighter shade of pink? So, and maybe you want to go even lighter, then stamp off twice. and then you have an even lighter look. Another fabulous thing that I love is I love the Ombre Technique. I just think it is super fabulous and really with one color of ink gets so many gorgeous shades. And so that's where you would then take your image and just keep picking it up and stamping it down all over again. Look at all of those shades off of one ink pad. So if the color that you're looking for is this one, then just stamp onto a scrap piece of paper 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then onto your project that 5th time for that light pink. So how cool is that, where you can get lots of different colors from just one ink pad. Now let's switch over to some blue, so we're not favoring the pink too much. And again, you can get all those various shades. Off of all of that. Look how fabulous that is. And for this, I don't like to pick up completely and then go back down because then I'll lose my spot. I like to just stamp, move, move, move. If you actually pick up and move, like get out of the element of your line, then that's where you might get a little confused and not be able to line it up so perfectly. And if it's not perfect, that is completely fine. One of my stampers told me it is made with love, not perfection, and I love that, that little line there. So here, let me show you a couple samples. This one here was done with the line image from the Work of Art stamp set, and so I stamped here and went up. I actually started with the green, I'm sorry. I started with the green and went up 4 times, and then I started, and this is Mossy Meadow, started with the Lost Lagoon, and I went up about 7 times. So see how it just goes from blue to really light blue. And then I just added the trees from Lovely as a Tree. So lots of different colors, 2 ink pads. Well, the tree, I guess, is the 3rd ink pad. Then this one here, that dude, was stamped 3 times for that little ombre effect there. And that was done in Bermuda Bay. And then this one here, I actually did in Watermelon Wonder, the new in color, and also Calypso Coral. And I just stamped a couple different times. But look how you can see all of those different shades, and it's just 2 ink pads. Super love it. And then this one here, I wanted down here, I did a little bit in the yellow and then a little bit in the brown, but I also stamped off for some lighter shades. And then of course with the tree, I didn't want my images to be so bold, so I stamped off once just for a hint of a lighter look. I will tell you, sometimes you can stamp off and not go completely stamped off. Like you could just do a really light, well, that still came out like that, but it's really light. It's not a full, I didn't give even pressure on stamping it off. So it's still pretty dark, but it's not so deep. So you can see, that kind of helps. And I will go ahead and point this out because even me, a seasoned stamper of over 10 years, I still make mistakes. See that little line right there and that little line right there? I don't know how well you can see those, but that's because I guess I rocked just a little bit. Either that or maybe my tablecloth is too squishy. So do make sure that you have a nice solid surface. Any sort of give to your surface can then lead to your surface swagging and then hitting those outside images. So even pressure and just a light little tap onto your stamp pad, and that will give you a great stamped image. Be sure to check out my blog, laurastamppad.com, for more ideas on stamping and different ways to use your product. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can see other tutorials on card techniques as well as beginner stamping ideas. Until next time, happy stamping. Bye-bye.